In Baltimore, 40% of the high schools have 0 students who can do basic mathematics.
Wow! How could that be true? Hup, there it is. It's true! Bruh.
Not even the very simplest of mathematics. I said, give me...
Yo, look at his face. Yo, he's about to cook him, dog. Check out that smile. He's cooking something up.
Your definition of basic, and they're talking about like adding a few numbers together.
Okay.
All right, Wes, cook him, dog. He said 40% of the high schools in Baltimore have 0 students who are proficient in mathematics. Tell us about the high schools in Baltimore.
So while the Trump administration has been trying to shutter the doors of the Department of Education.
Bad start, Wes. What is it? That's the Federal Department of Education, which has nothing to do with Maryland or Baltimore or the high schools or math.
In Maryland, we're ensuring students and educators actually have the resources that they need to succeed.
Oh, the resources they need to succeed. Maryland ranks 13th in the nation in per pupil spending at about $19,000 a student. So you guys are spending plenty of money, Wes. But that has nothing to do with Baltimore, math, or the students not being proficient in those scores. It has nothing to do with what he said.
We've made record investments in public education for 3 straight years, nearly $10 billion this year alone.
Exactly, Wes. You made record investments and 40% of the schools have no one proficient in math, dude. Maybe who's not proficient in math is Wes. He's like, we spent $10 billion on 150,000 students. That's $16 million a student. That's 953% above the national average, which is 100% better than anybody else. Bro is the governor of Maryland. The kids don't know how to do math, and people are in the street in Baltimore like...
Directing over $1 billion to community schools, which are already boosting academic performance in our highest poverty schools.
Okay, so it's 5 minutes ago years old when I figured out what a community school is. So supposed community schools are being placed in high poverty areas and include a lot more than school. From nutrition programs to aftercare to things like dental, medical evaluation, and other social services like food assistance and parenting classes. And look, that's all great and everything, and I'm sure that that's obviously going to increase the probability of people scoring better in school, so I'm not necessarily against that. But it's essentially turning the school into like a community center. And as much as I understand how these communities might need this, and I understand how those things could improve academic performance as they're there and maybe their medical services depend on them being there, but that's not academics. It could essentially improve test scores by just making it so they show up more. Which, yes, that result is good, but isn't necessarily making them smarter. And money spent on community schools, for example, how exactly does that job training and dental services affect somebody that's in first, second, third, fourth grade? Isn't it more of an issue that those people don't have access to those things outside of through the school? Wouldn't that be in a different department or a different category altogether of funding? So if money is supposed to go to education, specifically school, but it ends up going to dental visits in the supposed school system, is that school? Is that increasing math scores?
To bring the best and brightest teachers into our classrooms, we've raised teacher pay across the state.
Oh, increase the salaries of the teachers. Look at that. Maryland, 7th in the nation, at an average salary of $84,000. The average school teacher in America works 38 weeks a year. At the average salary of $8,400, that's about $2,200 a week. If you multiply that by 50 weeks, which is the typical work year, it's $110,000 a year salary, Wes. And not only that, 7th in the nation, and the kids can't math. Saying that you squandered a bunch of money and you're going to squander more doesn't answer the question of what he's talking about, nor address the issue at all. Bro is a clown, and he had that smug smile on his face.
So no matter what insults are being lobbed at our students or our educators,
it's not an insult, Morpheus, it's the truth. He said an objective fact, a statistic, a provable statistic. That's not an insult. His response has all the typical leftoid, soggy brain responses of a politrickster. You say that a statistic and a fact is an insult, and then instead of responding to that insult or accepting any responsibility for it, you say, oh, we're just going to throw more money at it. Perfect.
we're going to fight for them.
Doubt it! Typical soggy brain Morpheus. Facts are insults and truth is a lie. How does anyone in Baltimore count on this guy? Oh wait, they can't count on him because they can't Count it all! The math isn't mathing. The math isn't mathing.